It's a very impressive painting when you walk in and see it for the first time. It's absolutely got some power to it.
It's actually a very intimate portrait, but it has an incredible presence.
Not having seen it for 15 years, it does bring back, I must say, a lot of memories.
We see a man of great status and stature shown in a manner where the human being is really the subject.
I first met Lucian when a friend of his and a friend of mine asked if Lucian could come to Hyde Park Barracks, where I was the commanding officer, to paint some horses.
Andrew-Parker Bowles was the commanding officer of the Household Cavalry and therefore had a very distinguished military career, but also had this very important place in every military parade. He was there next to the Queen.
I could tell Andrew and Lucian had a great fondness for each other. Lucian was a great horseman, as is Andrew, and I don't know if Andrew told you that he rode in the Grand National, a very brave man.
Lucian started riding in the park with me because he was a good rider, a brave rider, but he always worried me that he would never wear a hard hat and always wanted to gallop. We got to know each other, and he said, "I never painted anybody in uniform. How about you?" And I said, "Well, Lucian, I'm reasonably busy. How long will it take?" Oh, he said, "It won't be very long, it'll be probably 3 or 4 months." And I thought, that's just acceptable. So, slightly reluctantly, I agreed. But then we went on and on and on. I sat for him for 18 months.
Because of the duration of time it takes to complete a portrait, all these different aspects of friendship would be part of the painting. He didn't want to sort of copy of a person. He wanted to reflect life as it were, as it folds out.
We talked about this picture by Tissot of Colonel Fred Burnaby, who was a hero figure. He was in my regiment, therefore wearing the same sort of uniform as I wore. Number 1 ceremonial kit, which is worn by the officers on state occasions, trooping the colour, opening of Parliament, state visits. I was very lucky, I had a wonderful career. Well, it started at the beginning. I was a page to the Lord Chancellor at Her Majesty's coronation. I remember seeing Winston Churchill and obviously the Queen looking fantastic. And I then was on Winston Churchill's funeral on guard. So I did quite a lot of ceremonial, then equally a lot of the operational side. Served in Northern Ireland and in Cyprus and Zimbabwe.
This is a man who clearly can dress up and be the man, the hero, and we are more fascinated by the way you see him actually disheveled.
I got my uniform from the Hyde Park Barracks because it'd been 12 years since I'd worn it. Therefore, it's incredibly tight. And the first session, it was a very hot summer's day. I said, "Oh hell, I can undo this." He said, "Right, that's it, hold it." And so that's how it all started.
No one ever wore a watch, so there wasn't a clock anywhere. It took as long as it took in Lucian's time.
He never sat and painted. He's always darting about, coming up to me closely, looking at me, backing off, painting.
Lucian was running up and down steps to get, and he's already 81 at this point. Because he's painting on a very small area and one brush mark at a time, you have a multi-layered observation of all your different, just your emotional being.
When you look at the surface of this painting, it's almost like sculpture. He's really created flesh in such a tactile way. The way that the metals shine under a certain light, or the way that the line of his uniform allows for a certain kind of perspective, and he plays with these things.
He wanted something truthful and real, and to get that in art, he pushed and pushed and pushed himself.
It's very difficult to judge a picture of yourself. It's not how one completely sees oneself in the mirror, but that's Probably because one puts one's chin up and doesn't look too fat, I don't know.
You see, the military here are reduced in a way to any one of us in a quiet moment. People respond to Lucian Freud because they recognize themselves so clearly in that human nature